Brian, what's up?
Hey, Pete, I'm here. It's time for leadership. With Pete and Brian. And now here are your hosts, Pete and Brian Vagi. Hey, everybody.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. It's hump day.
It is hump day, man. It's hump day. It's a great day. Thank you for joining us for episode 14 of Leadership and Laughs with Pete and Brian. How do you think about that, buddy? Episode 14, huh?
You know how 13 is usually considered to be a baker's dozen. There's a donut shop, a bakery donut shop here in beautiful Denver, Colorado, named Winchell's Donut Shop. Hashtag not a sponsor. And, but their baker's dozen, this is one of their differentiators. Their baker's dozen is actually 14 donuts.
I do like that. Throw a little something extra out there.
So this is our Winchell's Baker's Dozen show.
Episode. Hashtag, like you said, not a sponsor. Man, there's a lot going on, and I can't believe that. First of all, apologies to all of our friends who were listening or trying to listen last week. We just took a well-needed one of those, weeks off, and we don't have enough episodes to do the best of. Hey, this week we're gonna play a best of. And
remember when Don Rickles was on the show?
Let's play those episodes. Yeah. So we took a week off, but we're back. We're excited again. Times are shifting a little bit, but we're really excited to have this. And if you're listening right now live and you want to play along with our games or you want to connect, Brian, you can just open up the Podbean app on your phone, which you already have open, and just call in or text, whatever you want to do.
Yes, that's right.
I was waiting for you to follow up with something.
Well, I have breaking news.
Oh, well, dude, let's do that, man.
You want to get right into leading off?
Right into it. Yeah, here we go, man. This is how we start our show. If you're a new listener, we have our buddy Brian from Denver gets us started with leading off. We call this leading off. And Brian gets us started on lots of good stories that are happening. Just not really, maybe current events, Brian, maybe not. We just don't know. We'll see where you take us today. So let's go ahead and get started leading off with my buddy Brian.
Let's lead off with some breaking news. And I wish I had one of those drops that had a breaking news sound like dun-dun-dun.
Dun-dun-dun.
Just before airtime here, as we are recording this show on Wednesday evenings now, our new time slot.
Love it.
Twitter has announced that Twitter accounts belonging to Joe Biden, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Apple, Kanye West, Jeff Bezos, Mike Bloomberg, et cetera, many different prominent Twitter handles were compromised, hacked, if you will, today.
Oh, my.
And those accounts were posting tweets that appeared to promote a cryptocurrency scam. So be very careful. This just goes to, you got to be so careful these days about what you're believing and seeing and in
my organization, we've got a full-time IT department, and we're a small organization, Brian. We got about 60, but last week everybody got an email that had a voicemail attached to it that said 49 seconds, and it was like from somebody who you knew. And so as soon as I saw it, I deleted it. But within 2 minutes, you got the email from IT that said, if you get this, do not open it. And apparently someone opened it because then they had to go and reboot. So between emails and social media and all of your accounts, this is times for the bad guys to really get involved and mess it up. Why did they choose that group of guys or people? I'm sorry. Was there any?
Those are just the ones listed in the news article, but apparently was more than those particular people. One of them was a corporate account for Apple. They're all very prominent handles that have lots and lots of followers, and it's a straight up scam. You've got to be so careful with what you click on and who you give your information to. I'll tell you that just this morning, my company, the social media manager who works with me and I both got an email that looked like it was from Netflix. And and it said, "Hey, we finally put Seinfeld and what was the other one?
Night Court.
Terrible show that everybody
Facts
watches.
of Life.
Big Bang Theory. I was never a fan of that one, but they're back to back, and all you have to do to get this is to click the Netflix button below and sign into your Netflix account. And
my word! Yeah,
it doesn't go to Netflix; it goes to them, and you wind up giving them your personal information.
Wow!
So got to be careful.
It's bad, buddy. And the whole cryptocurrency thing. If I'm going to spend the time to hack somebody, I would have made I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. I would have made it like some type of big funny joke where, I don't know, put a funny meme out there or something silly where it gets on every. So you get more news coverage. Cryptocurrency, I don't know. I don't know, man. Cryptocurrency. I don't know.
There was a time back when we worked at Disney together that, I'm sure this has happened to everyone listening, that, somebody sends out an important message and copies everyone in the company, and then everyone starts hitting reply all.
Yes.
Reply all.
Yes. Reply all.
Yeah. There's donuts in the break room. Reply all.
Save one for me. Reply all.
And I know that you and I used to have some fun with those. It's not quite the same as hacking someone's Twitter account, but yeah, we used to.
That's how viruses get started, man. That's how virus gets started. They're started by the jealous people. All right, here we go. I love that one. So you got a Twitter account, breaking news. Story number 2, Bri. What do you got?
Well, Pete, this year, something strange happened in San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge has started to sing. And it's a weird phenomenon.
S-I-N-K or S-I-N-G?
Oh, thank you. S-I-N-G, sing.
Gotcha.
Throughout the spring, a bunch of San Francisco Bay Area residents started to notice a sustained, unplaceable, high-pitched tone. It's just sort of like, people who get tinnitus. It's like this high-pitched tone, and nobody really knew what it was. And then in early June, the sound actually started to reach a new peak volume. And
really?
There was like a big mystery. People couldn't figure out why the Golden Gate Bridge in that area was seeming to emanate this high-pitched sound. Similar to that, Pete. Yeah, that was good. I'll give you a bell. So anyway, people started to make recordings of it, and that eerie noise kind of spread across Twitter and Facebook and other social outlets. And anyway, the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District, which is the agency responsible for the Golden Gate Bridge's maintenance, figured out what the mystery is. And it's due to high winds blowing through the slats of the bridge's newly installed sidewalk railing. So they just find, they're upgrading the bridge. It's been around for years and years and years, and they put in a sidewalk railing, and nobody figured out that, hey, the wind really kind of pushes through there. And so it started to make this, what they call an aeolian tone, which is a noise that's produced when wind blows over a sharp edge.
I do love some aioli on the side with my French fries. So
a good garlic aeolian tone.
Good garlic aioli tone is delightful. That is the craziest thing. That's just interesting. I'll bet you if you I imagine the people out there coming out going, listen, I'm hearing it. And they're like, I don't hear anything. And like, go, no, do you hear, and when you start questioning it in your mind, what you're
hearing. Am I going crazy? Do you hear that sound?
Right. And of course you and I would be like, no, I don't.
No. What sound? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Oh, man. All right, we got Twitter and cryptocurrency. We got singing bridges. I can't wait to hear number 3, my brother.
Oh, man. Hey, imagine you're a driver, and you're driving a road imagine that you're driving on a road that we know very well, and that would be I-75. I-75 up in Gainesville, Florida.
Hogtown, if you will, home of the Gators.
The University of Florida Fighting Gators. That's Florida's flagship university, Pete.
Yes, not to be confused with the other smaller universities. Yes.
Right.
Not smaller in size, but smaller in stature. We should do a whole hour-long podcast on the benefits of the University of Florida. Go ahead, my friend.
On our alma mater. Anyway, right outside of Gainesville on I-75, a driver had a blowout on his wheel and had to swerve all over the road and pull over. And another driver stopped to check on this guy.
Well, that's human nature. I appreciate that.
And when he got out of the car, it was none other than NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq.
Really?
So,
really?
Yeah.
CNN. Shaq Money, Shaq Daddy, Shaq-alicious, Shaq-a-Rooney, the Shaq Man.
Shaq-Fu.
Shaq-Fu?
Shaq-Fu of the Fu-Schnickens.
How about that?
He pulled over to help out a driver who blew out his tire and stayed with the driver until the cops arrived and gave everybody fist bumps and everyone was happy. So I like the way.
Did he like lift the car up over his head to hold it while the guy was changing the tire? Did he pick up the whole car?
He probably stood in the left lane of I-75 just so everyone would go around. No, they said he stopped to check on the welfare of the driver and remained with her until law enforcement arrived. So it was a female driver who lost control, fist bumped the deputies and everybody else who showed up, and I like how CNN wrote the line that said, "We've seen Shaquille O'Neal make countless assists on the basketball court, but this week he made one on the highway."
Very nice. I'll tell you somebody who is making the most of retirement and bringing in income. Is there a product out there that Shaq is not endorsing right now? Have you seen him with, let's see, he's got his Papa John. He's got the General. He's doing General Insurance. Then he's got his Papa John franchises, right? So he's always on TV with Papa John's.
Yeah.
He does something with Icy Hot or something like that. He does Icy Hot. Got a bomb. Did you say
Pepsi?
I mean, he's just raking in money left and right. So he's got time to pull over. He's not like on his way to his job or kind of something like that. Hey, those were great, man. That fires me up, man. Those are some good stories, good ways to get us going. But now it's time to talk about the dark side of management, Brian. It's time to talk about not everybody can be Shaquille O'Neal. Not everybody has the time, Brian, to stand aside and help others. Sometimes people just have to be horrible managers. And when they're horrible managers, they'll make you ask the question,
they did what?
What? All right, we'll start low and kind of work our way up. All right, again, these are all from the past 30 days. So we don't go too far in the archives, Brian, to figure out how bad management is messing up. Brian, do you have onboarding? Do you have onboarding at your facility? Some people call it new hire orientation. Some people call it first day. Do you have a process like that?
We absolutely do. We've got orientation set out for individual roles, and I actually work pretty closely with that for at least for our sales group.
Well, hypothetically, Brian, let's say that you found a candidate who was hearing impaired, and you're like, man, you're going to be a great employee, but they have to come to orientation on day one. Tell me some processes you might do to prepare for that. Tell me some things tell me some accommodations, some things that you might do.
Prepare? Why would I accommodate? I don't make accommodations for anybody else. Why would I make accommodations for them?
PowerLink Facilities Management, based in Michigan, # not a sponsor, will pay $25,000 to settle a federal disability discrimination lawsuit. Now, according to the EEOC, Brian, PowerLink violated federal law by failing to provide, quote unquote, the reasonable accommodation to a deaf employee. Here's how simple it was, Brian. The company uses training videos during its employee orientation. Well, instead of providing the employee with an accommodation to participate in the orientation, PowerLink claimed that she couldn't complete the process because the videos they had didn't have any closed captioning on them. So I'm sorry, since there's no closed captioning, the employee does not really officially completed our orientation, and therefore they can't start work yet. Well, when can I start? Well, you got to figure out a way to watch the videos. Well, how are you going to help me? Well, we have no captioning on them. So this went on for went on for about 2 months, surprisingly to no one except this strange manager. Such alleged conduct violates the ADA. They tried to do a little bit of pre-litigation. They couldn't. It's $25,000. But in addition, Brian, some companies go, no big deal. We're making millions. I'll pay the $25,000. You've also got to do a 2.5-year consent decree. You've got to do training on all your employees. So there's cost associated with that. There are so many ways that this could have been avoided. The least of which is to buy an updated video that has captioning on it.
Correct. Or
second,
go ahead. Yeah, or if you know you have an employee coming in who's hearing impaired, then you could hire just a
sign language interpreter for the day, who can do that for you for the cost of maybe a couple of $100, or you can drop 25 grand. Brian, it's stuff like that at the end of the day that just makes me want to scream from the top of my lungs.
They did what?
All right.
They did what?
Excuse me. You did what? Excuse me. $68,000, my friend. Let's talk about religious accommodations. Brian, do you know anybody who is a Jehovah's Witness?
Not currently.
You went deep into the brain there.
I thought about it. I'm sure I have known people who are Jehovah's Witnesses.
We've gone through the process. Anthony's on live with us now. Anthony, do you know any Jehovah's Witnesses where you work? I knew one family who lived next door to me, and I had one employee at one time. This is a company called Pediatrics 2000. Hashtag not a sponsor. They're a Manhattan private medical practice serving children and teens. They're going to pay $68,000 to settle religious discrimination. So according to the lawsuit, Brian, here's how it went. Pediatrics 2000 was aware that their worker was a Jehovah's Witness when she was hired.
Yeah.
And they initially accommodated her request not to work on Wednesdays due to her religious practices on that day. So there's number one. Step one, they did what? They did it correctly. Perfect. Way to go. You got the right person, got to make a religious accommodation, you follow the law, but now you put a line in the sand and you said that you're going to accommodate.
You made a precedent.
Thank you, Brian. So then the company demonstrated animus toward her religion, with people saying her religion was a cult. And they placed her on probation for missing work on Wednesdays. So all of a sudden, she hadn't been coming on Wednesdays for you. Can you imagine one Thursday when she comes in, they're like, where were you? You are, you were AWOL, where we're going to have to mark you as missing. And in addition, when the worker requested to be excused from the company's holiday party for religious reasons, they said, we're done with you. You're fired. Even though other employees were permitted to miss the party for non-religious reasons. Such conduct violates Title VII, $68,000 in lost wages and damages, injunctive relief. They got to create anti-discrimination policies and procedures that commit them to equal opportunity, including religious beliefs, blah, blah, blah.
Good. What?
Yeah, you don't even have to say it that time. Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right, one more, buddy. This is where we get into a little bit of trouble. This is where we're getting into the big bucks. By the way, have you been watching the new Press Your Luck on I believe it's on ABC?
No, but I have been watching a new game show called Don't on ABC.
Okay, yeah, Don't is very enjoyable. Press Your Luck was very popular. It might have been late 80s, maybe early 90s with Peter Tamarkin.
No whammies.
Yeah, I did. Big bucks. So it's on now. Again, it's not bad. It's actually, I believe the host now is the hostess or the host. I'm not sure how to say that. Is Elizabeth Banks? Yeah. Hey, Elizabeth Shue dated from Melrose Place at one time, right? Grant Shaw? No, didn't Grant Shaw and Elizabeth Shue? Her name would be Elizabeth Shue Shaw if they got married. Okay. Anyway, this is why we have no listeners. Okay, so let's talk big bucks.
All right,
big bucks. $215,000 is what a Texas broadcast affiliate will pay to settle an age discrimination suit.
Against Elizabeth Shue?
Yeah, no.
No, wait. I'm sorry. You've lost me.
All right. CBS stations in Texas, the EEOC charges that they violated federal law when they refused to hire Tammy Campbell for a full-time traffic reporter position because of her age. Now, it doesn't say how old she was, but she had already worked there as a freelancer, non-staff traffic reporter. So she's been working there non-staff. She has the qualifications because here's what they were looking for. They posted a job announcement that said the ideal candidate would have a strong knowledge of local traffic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that the applicant must have at least 5 years professional broadcasting experience. All right. So, they've got some good quality candidates out there, including Tammy. Well, Brian, they went ahead and hired a 24-year-old applicant who, surprise of all surprises, was a former NFL cheerleader.
Oh, but she probably also had at least 5 years of public broadcasting experience.
I mean, listen. I worked in television news. I'm well aware of what drives ratings. I was in that business for years back in the 90s, and I understand that. But this is just wrong. I mean, you can't, you can't just go after quote unquote eye candy and get young people on TV to help raise ratings so people are looking at the traffic reporter. In fact, there was somebody else who was even older, Brian. She was 27 who applied, and she was not hired either. So, again, the person who was the most qualified was not hired, so they paid $215,000 because she sued, which was absolutely the right thing to do. So this violated probably also not only the Title VII for age discrimination, but also the ADEA, Brian, which is the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. So if you're over 40, like we are, you're also protected. So keep that in mind here. But if you're over 40, I want to thank Anthony. Anthony says he used to play a game of Don't Press Your Luck. So a combination of the two. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wonder if the company tried the Hooters defense on the law.
Let me tell you something. The good old BFOQ, bona fide occupational qualification. If you haven't heard of that, go look up that lawsuit when men tried to become waiters at Hooters and all that. And Hooters could prove through the BFOQ that they would lose money if they hired men in tight shorts, and that it truly was a bona fide occupational qualification to be a hot woman wearing tight pants at Hooters. And they actually could prove that. It's a little harder to prove on a television station. So those are your they did what's, Brian. So let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the good stuff, my friend. You know what this means.
Oh man, it's everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite game show of leadership statistics. It just makes you more excited to be a human being. Anthony agrees with us. It's over and under.
Woo!
Woo!
Over under, everybody. For all of our listeners, here's how it works. I'll be presenting Pete with a few interesting and timely statistics. And Pete and I are having an inside joke on our Zoom call here. That's funny.
This is why these aren't videotaped. All right,
yes.
Good. Yeah.
Also, I'm in my my Corona-cation pajamas that I worked in all day. So I'll be giving Pete some statistics. Call in if you would like to play along live with Pete. You can do that. And nobody knows what I'm about to talk about, what I'm about to ask. We do encourage all of you to play along. So feel free to hit the calling button or text in your answers as we try to guess over or under.
Hey, let me tell you something real quick. You know that our wives have figured this thing out when my wife didn't log on until just about 30 seconds ago. I'm sure she's like, hang on, he's in 30 minutes. You know what that means? Time for over and under.
It's over and under.
Yeah, so I guarantee when this game show is over, she'll log out. All right, go ahead, Brian. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to set it up for you guys. There is a company called Xenophon Analytics.
I also am xenophobic. Excellent. Go ahead.
Xenophon Analytics is part of a company called Xenophon Strategies. They are a communications firm firm that represents clients across the world and, U.S., Canada, Asia, Central Asia, and Europe. And they recently conducted a survey of more than 3,000 frequent flyers who are members of frequent flyer airline programs for companies like Delta, United, Southwest, American, JetBlue, Alaskan Air, and others. And this survey
what is the name of the company?
This is called Xenophon. It's Xenophon. Xenophon Analytics.
I want to apologize to all the listeners. I made a funny joke there and said like, "Hey, I'm xenophobic," to make a joke. I didn't know what it meant. I just looked it up. Did you know that xenophobia is having or showing a dislike or prejudice against people from other countries?
Yes, I knew that.
So I want to pull that back. I withdraw my funny joke. I am not xenophobic, but I will play the game with this company. All right. So moving on back. So these are all the airlines.
They surveyed more than 3,000 frequent flyers, and the survey was conducted from May 28th to June 18th. That's your time frame, okay? So what they wanted to get at is, are you still flying right now during the COVID-19 pandemic? What are you flying for? What are how much did you used to fly? What are you currently doing? What are your plans to fly?
So just some really good data around flyers and like what their preferences are. Okay, this is a good one.
And these are, so we're talking about people who are frequent flyers and therefore usually traveling for business, right? So here we go.
Bring it on.
First question starts with a statement. Before the pandemic, I'm going to tell you that 73% of the respondents took more than 3 trips per year.
Okay.
And 38% of them flew 6 or more times.
Okay.
So what percentage of these frequent flyers have not flown at all since the COVID-19 crisis was declared a pandemic in mid-March? 73% used to take at least 3 trips a year. What percentage of these frequent flyers have not flown at all, since COVID hit? Is it over or under 50%?
All right. I'm going to guess, my friend. I'm leaning towards under. Anthony's also going with under due to company mandates. There may be a ban on flying. There may be a ban. Yeah, but don't forget, these are frequent flyers. And so since they're frequent flyers, I wonder if they're like, they have no...
Okay. Yeah. Let me restate what percent of the frequent flyers said they have not flown at all since COVID? So they used to be a frequent flyer and now they're not. Is it over or under 50%?
Let's go under. Still, yeah, even with your qualification, we're going with under. Let's go with under, buddy. Lay it on us.
It's way over. It's 84%. 84% of frequent flyers have not flown at all since mid-March.
I really thought that they would still be out there, that they would still be out going around, or they've got things to do. How about that? So even the frequent flyers are freaked out about that. All right, 0 for 1. Keep them coming.
All right, here we go. What percentage of employees said, or what percent of the respondents here said, I do plan to resume flying in the next 6 months? Over or under 50%?
All right, that one's going to be easy. That one's definitely over because this was taken, you said, in May to June. Everyone's assuming by the end of the year, people are going to fly either for businesses or for personal or all kinds of reasons. So, yeah, over.
Yes, it's over. 60% said they do plan to resume flying within the next 6 months.
You said 60%. Okay.
60%. And then our final one kind of piggybacks off of that. So you've got all the people who said that they do plan to resume flying in the next 6 months. What percentage of those people said, listen, when I do resume flying, it'll be for business travel, not personal?
All right, you went out a little bit. You said what percentage of people who said they are going to fly, it'll be for business, not personal.
Correct.
All right.
All right. So we said 60% of everybody said that they do plan to resume flying in the next 6 months. What percentage of those flyers said when I do resume flying, it's going to be for business travel? Is it over or under 50%?
This is what they call horrible radio. Because I've got my head on my hand and I'm thinking, Brian, I really want to say it's over because there will be a fear and some people will only go because it's business. Anthony's agreed with me on over. Let's go over. Let's go over.
Guys, it's way under. Bum, bum, bum. The answer is under. It's only 10%. So get this. 63% said they are planning on personal travel. And only 10% said that they're planning on resuming flying for business travel. And so
I got to agree with our listener, Anthony, who's talked about company mandates, Brian. He's probably right. It may be out of their hands. Their company may have told them, you're not flying for the next year. Conferences are canceled. This is that. So that, would you agree with that?
I would. That's where we're at. The president of Xenophon Strategies came out and he said, listen, it's clear from the data that after months of quarantine and restricted movement, people have cabin fever and want a vacation. So that's your 63% who are going to do personal. But business travel will be anemic for a while, possibly because of continued work travel restrictions and the widespread use of video conferencing and other remote work technologies.
Isn't it crazy how much better we've gotten with when we're forced to use virtual meetings and we're forced to do virtual conferences and all this stuff? And we didn't, but now everybody's getting good at it. So do we have to go back? Hey, let me take your take on something. Let me get us a little fun bed music, as they call. Hey, what's your take on middle seats, Brian? What's your take on airline middle seats? I see a lot of people flying like American and United, and they're complaining. How dare they pack the planes? How dare they pack the planes? They don't know what social distancing is. And then you got Southwest, who's leaving the middle seats open. But in reality, you're sitting 3 feet away from somebody. Yeah. Do you think it matters when you get on an airplane if the middle seat is open or not?
I do.
Yeah.
I think that's because of the way we're packed in. I mean, if this was hitting back in 1950 whatever, and there was actually room on a plane to stretch your legs and everything else, but when it's packed, man, it's packed. And as a as a wide American myself,
Amen, brother.
I hate the middle seat because it's like just almost no way. When we fly as a family, I take used to be my youngest daughter. I would always call her to sit next to me because she only took up half the seat.
Right.
So,
but do you think your chances of getting COVID are higher if you're sitting directly next to somebody versus one seat in between?
Yes.
Do you think? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
you really do.
Huh?
See, I don't. I think there's
higher.
Yeah, there's recirculated air in there. People are still leaning over and touching stuff.
You're saying basically everybody on the plane's getting.
I'm saying. If someone's got it and they cough and it gets it, I know they've got HEPA filters and all that, but I don't know. There's just so much hype about, look at us, the middle seats are open. I'm like, if I got a fear of flying, I don't think a 3 feet gap between the person next to me is going to keep me unless they put a plexiglass thing right there. I don't know. Anyhow, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. What are we going to do, man? But just try to think of the happy times. Try to think of all the good times.
Oh,
hey, you know where you can wear your mask right now? You can wear your mask at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida, because it's open, baby. It's open.
Right?
You can walk down Main Street, USA, literally all by yourself. I mean, although this little bit that we do where we're like, hey, look, I see there's the kids of the kingdom. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Not there. Hey, here comes a live show. No.
No live shows?
No live shows. So I'll tell you, buddy, this is the part of our show called The Daily Disney. We always talk about things Disney does well. And what I thought I'd do, Brian, as I'm showing Brian on Zoom, I had our great leader strategies today, but instead, I wanted to talk just me and you after working at Disney for a while and talk about safety protocols, from a leadership point of view, and for all the listeners to kind of think about their organizations and kind of what they are doing. So let me set the scene for you here a little bit for everybody who's thinking. All right. The Walt Disney Company is a multi-billion, trillion, gazillion dollar organization. And they've got their feet in every type of customer service focused entity, such as movies, such as ESPN, which includes sports, such as retail, such as Hollywood and film, such as television, such as live TV shows, and theme parks and resorts. Well, you talk about a company that took a hit in just about every single line of business that they own. Yeah. It's Disney, and that includes their theme parks and resorts. So they did the right thing. They shut them down. They shut them all down. And slowly but surely, they've been reopening theme parks. Tokyo Disneyland, I think, just opened. Disneyland Paris opened recently. Hong Kong, we'll talk about that in just a moment. And Walt Disney World and Disneyland, which are two of the largest and most populated, are the ones that everybody's keeping an eye on. Walt Disney World specifically, buddy, where we worked, because they're the biggest. And Walt Disney World has a history of knowing how to handle crowds, knowing how to streamline, knowing how to move people through and stuff like that. So
safety being the foremost quality standard, right?
Yeah, it's always number one. It's the first thing that you're taught. So here's what happened. About, maybe 2 months ago, Disney finally drew a line in the sand and said, hey, things are looking good in Florida. We're going to open. And once they say we're going to open and that process gets put into place, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. There is no stopping it. So Disney is starting to sort of ramp up at the same time that the coronavirus, Brian, is ramping up in Florida with all of these cases. So you've got all these people in Florida saying, why are you opening now? This thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But you've got the Disney organization who is now investing millions of dollars in plexiglass and face shields for employees and safety training and stickers and markers. And they almost passed the point of no return, Brian, where they're like, listen, I know the numbers are going up, but we've done everything we can to provide a safe environment. So if you are interested, go onto YouTube. There's a couple of videos out there, and just Google on YouTube, Walt Disney World's reopening day on like the 11th, or Animal Kingdom's opening day. And you'll see a lot of people walking around with cameras. And here's the things that stuck out to me, Brian. Number one, how empty the parks were. I think the Magic Kingdom has a capacity of about 60 to 75,000. I think they were capping it at between 10 and 15. So you can imagine how vacant that looks. Yeah. And then, so number one was the park capacity. Number two was just the amount of infrastructure they put in place. Most of the queue lines at Disney are what's called switchbacks, where you walk down, then you make a U-turn, then you walk down, then you make a U-turn, back and forth and back and forth. They had to put plexiglass up on every single one of those for like safety reasons. They had to install. Yeah. I mean, it's just go back and watch some of these videos. And there's a gentleman there who actually was videotaping and said, this is the safest I've ever felt during the coronavirus pandemic is here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. He goes, I feel safer here than I feel going to my local grocery store. He goes, because everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody's enforcing it. Most people are staying 6 feet apart. They're wiping everything down. They're social distancing on attractions. So Disney's doing everything that they can to provide a safe experience. And yet people are still hammering them, Brian, and saying, profit over health, profit over this. How dare they? So
there's no way they're making a profit, right? I mean, the cost to be open right now their overhead has to be more than they're pulling in with 1/6 of the guests.
Right. I agree 100%. So if they were losing $30 million a day, now they're only losing 15 million, 10 million. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but there's no way that they are turning a profit. Now, I always look at the employee side as well, because I always like to think about, well, there's a lot of employees at Disney who needed to work. I mean, they've been out of work, and if unemployment runs out or things like that. So, when you've got 65,000 employees who are counting on this place opening for their jobs, and I know not all of them are coming back at the same time,
Right.
but, they owe it to their cast members to, reopen a little bit. So just wanted to get your take on, are you hearing anything out in Colorado about Disneyland opening, and are people for or against it? Because you're more of a Disneyland kind of person out there.
No, I haven't. What I keep hearing is about Florida. Florida's coronavirus cases are spiking, and now Disney is opening. And you bring up a really good point that, it's a little bit of a PR nightmare, because they can do everything that they can do, and
Right.
but I can't imagine. There were always, from working at Disney, anytime any kind of a change is made, whether it's an improvement or not at Walt Disney World, if somebody used to go there as a kid and now they show up and, oh, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is gone now.
Right.
And they would say, oh, Walt Disney would be spinning in his grave if only they knew.
This isn't like it used to be. I can't believe they've done
this. I can't believe they took out that tobacco shop on Main Street. I remember going in there with my dad to buy pipe tobacco. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine what people like that are saying now.
Right.
Like, I can't believe I have to, wear a mask, and I can't believe I have to, stand in this line. Although it's probably assuaged somewhat by the fact that there's a lot less people in the park.
Oh, let me tell you, from what people are posting and what my internal sources at Disney are telling me, there are no more fast passes. They don't have that, so they've extended all those queue lines, and for social distancing, so they're using the fast pass queue line and the standby queue line. They're merging them all together because you got to keep people 6 feet apart. But they are saying that your wait times are 5, 10, 15, maybe 30 minutes. For Snow White's, what is it? Mystery Mine Train. You can tell I'm a little behind. Snow White's Mine Train. The Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's going to average a 3-hour wait during the summer, and you can be on and off in 30 minutes. So, some people are going to do the whole cost benefit analysis and say, you know what? I feel safe. I've got to wear this mask, but they've got relaxation stations. And while it may not be as magical because of that, I'm going to take you on. Other people are going to stay away. So this is a great case study to watch.
Yeah.
And Anthony brings up a good point, Brian. He's talking about the schools. If school systems want to see, or if cities want to reopen or restaurants want to reopen, people tend to look at Disney for queue line management and processes and all those kinds of things. This might be a thing where certain businesses or schools are kind of looking to see, how do they do it? Are they successful? And what can we copy from them?
It could be. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Maybe you can tell me, because I haven't been able to verify this. This is a rumor I heard that Walt Disney World is not just letting anyone in who wants to come in there, that the parks are open for resort guests only. Is that true? Have you heard this?
That was the original thought process. What they're doing now is a reservation system where you can only have a ticket on a certain day and you cannot park hop. So if there is availability for Magic Kingdom on August 1st, if you want to go, you buy a ticket for Magic Kingdom on that day. Now, the original thought was give the resort guests first priority, but they're not going to do that because that's kind of forcing people to stay at the certain. And some of our resorts are still closed. Some of them are still, they don't have full capacity on all their resorts, as you can imagine. And so they don't do it just for resort guests, but you do have to have a reservation. So there's so many changes. You know how the buses are down there. They would pack the buses full. They would pack the monorails full, because it's all about moving people as quick as they can.
Right.
The comments I've been reading online, people are saying how delightful it is to be able to get on the monorail and sit down, to be able to get onto a bus and not have 100 people have someone's stroller and butt right in your face while you're sitting on a bus. So there are valuable things happening out there. Just real quick, just because Anthony brings it up, tell me about schools out there, Brian. What are you hearing about schools?
Currently, our situation, I live in Denver, Colorado, and our kids go to Denver public schools, and the current paradigm is that schools are reopening on time in August. However, it's going to look a little different. So it's, I have children who are in high school. I have a senior in high school and an 8th grader.
Is she a senior in high school?
Yeah, baby Hannah.
Baby is a senior in high
baby
school.
Hannah's a senior.
Oh my word!
Oh, she's great. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
No, what we're hearing is that it's going to happen, but it's going to look a little different. So masks will be required. Basically, you're going to. It's going to look a little bit more like elementary school, where you won't go from class to class. Instead, different teachers will come to your classroom. So, and you'll basically, be going through the school year with the same, just like in elementary school, with the same 25 or 30 kids in that class. And, they're taking all kinds of precautions. But I say that that's the current viewpoint. And it's because as recently as this afternoon, I was talking to my daughter and saying, like, yeah, that's still what they say is going to happen, but there's a lot of time between now and then, and things change. And if we're hitting a second wave, or like some people say that we never got through the first wave, this is like the second part of the first wave,
right?
Is if things spike again all over the place, then who knows? I don't know if it'll continue to happen, but that's the plan for now.
Well, that's what we're doing out here in Alabama. Sounds like it's very, very similar in that depending on what school district you are in, there's a combination. We are supposed to reopen, have everybody go back on their regular day, masks and social distancing and all that kind of stuff. There's also going to be an option, though, for some, online learning if you want to choose that route, and there might be a blended. But it's so funny, Brian, because here it's just it really depends on the day. It really depends. Our governor just came out today and did a mandatory mask for the entire state. So the entire state now, is under a mask ordinance through the end of the month. So we tried to do hey, everybody do what you should. And then you've got people who say, no, don't you dare do that for me. And so all that kind of stuff. So just as a sidebar, and I can't confirm this, I'm trying to find it, Brian, leave it to Disney to never skip a beat. They have some COVID-19 specific merchandise is what I'm reading here. This may not be correct, but some of their shirts and kind of things like that you can buy in the stores apparently now has, Mickey wearing a mask and things like that, things like that. So since we're here, we got to buy the specific merchandise. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. So that is, my friend, your daily Disney for today. That's your Disney update. Let's all keep our eyes on that to kind of see what's happening. I can't believe it's been almost an hour already, buddy.
It goes fast when we're having fun like we are.
Absolutely. Do you have a did you know today from the xenophobic company?
Yeah. Actually, I switched it up a little bit. I went to a different kind of xenophobia, which... Did you know the Washington Redskins football team have decided to change? They are going to change their moniker. They've dropped the name Redskins, and it's probably about time that's happened. And did you know the top 3 names rumored for replacement are the Washington Warriors, the Washington Red Wolves, and the Washington Red Tails, which would be an homage to the Tuskegee Airmen. That's the all-black World War II squadron whose planes had distinctly colored tails.
All right. I'll be that guy, Brian. I'll play along. Give me the first one again.
The Washington Warriors.
Washington Warriors is offensive, Brian, because there was a movie in the late 70s, 80s called The Warriors. And it was about a gang. Do you remember seeing The Warriors? It's about a gang. And so this is going to validate gang violence, so we cannot use Warriors. What do you got next?
Next is the Red Wolves. The Red Wolves.
Nope, that is discriminatory to wolves who are not of the red color. So what if you are a white wolf or a gray wolf? That is offensive to wolves who are not red. Give me one more.
And then, of course, you got the Red Tails, an homage to the Tuskegee Airmen, Black World War II squadron heroes.
While I do agree with that, there is a saying out there, slang in the community for those that are sexually active, called get some tail. Hey, are you going to get some tail or chase some tail? It is slang for going after a female person. So I can see the signs now that say, we get some tail, we love our tail, and that will be offensive as well. So all three of those will soon be deemed offensive.
They could always take the mascot from the show Community, which was Greendale College, and their mascot was the Human Beings.
Someone will find that offensive as well. Good stuff today, buddy. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thanks to those of you who download and listen. We're back. Better than ever again, probably next Wednesday night. Anything else, Brian?
Thank you to Anthony and Buglet and Sherry and Terry and everybody who's on.
All of our listeners. Say goodnight, Brian.
Good night, Brian.